In this question, we're going to look at how to move emails from Outlook into workboxes. The reason this is so important is that a lot of the information that we receive nowadays in our day-to-day work arrives via email. These emails come in from other people within the business and also from customers and suppliers. So we're receiving a variety of different emails all of the time. When you first receive an email, the information's easy for you to see. So you can open the email, you can see who it's from, you can read through the content. At that moment in time, it's unlikely that most other people in your team or in the project you're working on can see that same email if it's been sent directly to you. So what we want to do is show you a very simple method to take emails and sometimes email attachments and include them within a workbox. The benefit of doing that is that information, those emails, those attachments that you move into the workbox then become instantly visible to other people within your team or within the project you're working on. The first thing that we need to do before we can start moving information between Outlook and our workbox is first of all establish a relationship between those two different areas. The way we do this is we're going to navigate into ISY, we're going to go into a workbox, and when we're there, we're going to tell that workbox to connect itself to Microsoft Outlook. The good news is this is very quick and very easy to do. You will need to repeat this same process for any of the workboxes that you want to be able to send emails to. Let's go ahead and demonstrate the process to show you how quick and easy this can be. So here I am logged into ISY. I'm logged on with my normal username and password. I'm going to head into the My Teams area and I'm going to go ahead and open up a workbox. So there we are, I've gone into my workbox. This workbox already contains one file, so there's already a PDF file stored within there. If I look at the top of the screen and click on the workbox heading, what I see is in the ribbon there is an option for Connect to Outlook, but it's greyed out, so it's not currently available. What I need to do is on the left-hand side of the screen, click on the Documents heading, or the name of any library within my workbox. I can then go into the Workbox tab in the ribbon again, and now I can click the option I want, which is Connect to Outlook. When I go to do this, it pops up with a question saying, am I sure? Is it okay? I need to click on Allow to allow that to happen. I then see another question where it says, again, are you sure? Is this okay? And once more, I need to press OK to let this happen. What's happening is, first of all, ISY was saying, from a security point of view, is this okay? And second of all, Outlook was saying, from a security point of view, is this okay? So I needed to say okay to both of those programs. At that point, the connection is established. You can see that I've ended up in Outlook here, although I started off in ISY. So Outlook loaded automatically. And what's happened is at the bottom left-hand corner of Outlook, I now see this area called My Workboxes, and then also I see within Favorites a shortcut to my workbox. So that's step one completed. We've gone into a workbox, we've gone into the ribbon, and we've clicked on Connect to Outlook. By doing that and pressing OK on a few security messages, we've actually established the relationship between these two systems. The next step for us, now that we've established this connection between Outlook and the workbox, is to look at some of the options that are available around this connection. The first thing that I want to show you is that when we're in Outlook, how do you tell what's a workbox and what's normal email? So we'll take a look at that distinction. We're also going to look at how to rename a workbox. The idea of that is when you're in Outlook, normally what happens is you see the name of a workbox. If the name of that workbox is quite long, you might want to be able to abbreviate it and have it a little bit shorter so that it's easier to read within Outlook. Finally, if you are perhaps an information governance officer and you've been dealing with a freedom of information request, as part of that process you might now have closed your workbox. When a workbox has been closed, as you might have seen in some of our earlier videos, the workbox can no longer be updated and the information in it can no longer be edited. At that point, you might decide, well, this link that I've got into this workbox now, which is an old workbox, I might not want that link to be in my Outlook anymore. So what we can do is show you how to remove that link to the workbox from Outlook. Here we are in Outlook, and we can see everything looks very much the same as normal. the majority of the screen still looks exactly the same as it did before I had this My Workboxes idea. The one thing that has changed is down here at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, we've gained a new area called My Workboxes. Within here, we can see there's a shortcut to the workbox that we connected to just a moment ago. We can see, sure enough, the name of the workbox is quite long, and I can't actually read it all. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and rename this shortcut. Renaming the shortcut makes it easier to read the name within Outlook. This only renames the shortcut, it does not rename the workbox itself. So it's a safe process. So I've just cleaned up the name within Outlook. What I can also do from the right click is choose to remove this shortcut. When I right click and choose to remove the favourite and I choose OK, that means I've got rid of the connection between Outlook and the workbox. Again, that can be useful when you no longer need to work with a particular workbox. Just to prove that removing the connection there from Outlook doesn't delete the workbox, what I've also done in this demonstration is I've just navigated to the workbox, and we can see, sure enough, the workbox itself over in Izzy still exists. We now know how to connect Workbox to Outlook, how to rename the shortcut to the workbox in Outlook, and we also know how to reverse the process, which is to remove the shortcut from Outlook. So we can create, we can rename, and we can delete. The next thing we want to do is focus a little bit more on using these connections day to day. What do they really do, and how can they really make my life a little bit easier? Some of the things we're going to see in this next round of demonstrations are things like, how do we copy an email from Outlook into a workbox? We're also going to look at how to move an attachment from an email into a workbox. So just to distinguish there, we're going to look at how to copy things, which means the original file stays in one place and also we get a copy in the workbox, versus the idea of moving, which means the original email or the original attachments get moved. So copy and move we need to do. We're also going to look at, when we are moving information into a workbox from Outlook, the fact that we get to rename our files and also include tagging, or what you might know as metadata. For this demonstration, we already have a workbox with 3 folders within the workbox. These are 3 folders that we want to store information in, including information that has arrived via email. For our demonstration, we actually want to start not within the workbox itself, we want to start over in Outlook, because that's where all the action's going to take place. We can see here, at the bottom left-hand corner of the Outlook screen, we can see my workboxes, we can see my workbox that I've connected to, and we can see the 3 folders within the workbox. The first thing I want to do is drag an email from my inbox straight into the Bulletins folder. So I drag just by holding down the left mouse button, and I drop from the inbox into the Bulletins folder in my workbox. When I let go of the left mouse button, a form appears asking me for some information about the file that I've just dragged in. It picks up on the name of the file already, but it will allow me to change the name and also add a title as well. When I'm happy with the information that I've captured, I press save. In this case, by dragging with the left mouse button, what that's done is it's moved the email. So by dragging the email into a workbox, it takes it out of my inbox in Outlook and it moves that original file into the workbox. So dragging with the left mouse button would always be a move. What you might want to do sometimes is a copy. So let's try this time dragging with the right mouse button. Also, just to make it a bit more interesting, rather than dragging a whole email, let's just drag a single attachment from an email. So in this case, I've dragged a PDF by holding down my right mouse button, and again, I've dropped it onto that Bulletins folder within my workbox. When I let go, it comes up again and asks me for the name and for the title of the file. It offers me the chance to change them or just use the defaults if I prefer. Once more, as soon as I've filled in the name and the title, again, I'm okay to save. So the 2 things we've seen so far is dragging with the left mouse button is a move. Dragging with the right mouse button allows you to do a copy. Just to confirm, if I go and look in my Bulletins folder, which is part of my workbox, I can actually see those two files in there, one that I've copied and one that I've moved. If I go back over to the workbox within ISY and go and take a look, we can see that the processes that we've performed, the copying and the moving over in Outlook, everything we've done there has actually been synchronized into ISY and into the workbox. So everything we did in Outlook automatically has been synchronizing into the workbox as well. So these are not two separate places of working, these are the same place. So I can either update information in the workbox directly in ISY, or I can update information within Outlook, and the two things are synchronizing and keeping up to date. Now that we've seen how easily we can move emails and email attachments from Outlook into a workbox, thanks to this process, what we want to do is just spend a couple of minutes just to finish this question off by looking at, well, what else can we do with this integration now between the workbox and Outlook? One of the things that some of you might be wondering is it possible to do things like editing and viewing documents from within Outlook rather than having to go into the workboxes themselves? The good news is we can do that, and quite a lot more as well. So this last demonstration is going to show you how we can do things like viewing, editing, checking out, and also sending links to files that are stored within a workbox, but we can actually work with them from Outlook. This is great if you're really familiar with Outlook and you feel comfortable there, and at the moment you're still learning about workboxes and you don't feel quite so comfortable working in them. So from the comfort of a place that you're familiar with, we can actually do a lot of our day-to-day work. The first thing that I want to show you in this demonstration is that from within Outlook, I can view and I can edit files that are stored within a workbox. Again, as we start the demonstration, there is a workbox that's set up already. We've already established a connection between the workbox and Outlook. So that's where we begin the demonstration. So here I am, I'm in my Outlook, and on the left-hand side of the screen, I've clicked on the name of a folder within a workbox. I've selected a file, in this case a Word document, and I'm able to preview the contents of that Word document without having to actually open it. If I do want to open it, I can double-click on the Word document. I'm asked, how do I want to open it? Do I want to see a read-only version, or do I want to edit the file? I'm going to choose to edit the file because I want to make some small changes. Remember, all the time this file is stored over in a workbox in ISY. So what I've done here is I've gone in, I've added an extra person that attended the meeting, and I'm going to close Word and save Word. So those changes then are being saved back up into the workbox in ISY. If I want to edit the file for a period of time, from within Outlook I can right-click and I can choose to check the file out. That means that the file's now locked to me exclusively and no one else can work on it. When I went to open the file, it told me there was a new version of the file available, so I pressed OK to say, yeah, I want the newest version. Again, if I double click on the file, I can now open the file up, and it's going to open in edit mode by default, having checked it out. Whilst the file's checked out, it means that no one else can edit that file. Again, I'm going to go ahead and add another attendee onto my meeting here, and I'm going to save that. Outlook then prompts me and it says, hey, this file needs checking back in. Do you want to check it in? I can say, yes, please check it back in for me. Remember, I manually checked it out, and it's going to check the file back in. So we can see there's really great integration between the workbox and Outlook and Word, and all those things were talking to each other really seamlessly. When I go and revisit the file again on the left-hand side, it tells me again if I'm looking at an out-of-date version, and it prompts me to download the newest version, so I can always see the newest version that's available. Something else I can do here is right-click onto a file, and I can choose to send as link. What that's going to do is compose a brand new email, and it's actually going to put a link in the body of the email to the file that I right-clicked on. So in this case, I don't really want to send this one out, but just to show you, if I do hover over that link, we can see it's a complete link rather than an attachment. Be careful who you send that to, because they do still need access to the file as well. So you could only send that to people that are internal and have access to the workbox. What I can also do is choose to copy the link, and I could go and then paste that into whatever program I want. So in this case, I've just gone into an email, but I could have gone into Word or Excel or wherever I want. So I can choose to copy the link, and I can use that in any program I want. It doesn't have to be an email. Also, when I go to send a new email, something slightly different to show you here, imagine I'm writing an email, and as part of that email, I include a whole load of important information, and I think, oh, I'm going to send this out to the project team, but I want to make sure that we get to keep a copy of this within our workbox as well. What I can do is I can fill in the email as normal, but rather than pressing the send button, if I go into the message tab in the ribbon, I can choose the send and file option. So this allows me to send the email out, but also as we send the email out, put a copy of it into a specific workbox. So I quite like that idea. As I'm sending information out, I can also store a copy, so that it's not only in my outbox and I have to find it in the future. I know that myself or anyone that's got access to our workbox within the team can actually go ahead and look at that. I think the last thing we're going to show you here is, again, the fact that I can right-click on a file and I can choose to open that in the browser. And what that does, bearing in mind we were in Outlook a moment ago, is it brings up the page where that file's stored within the workbox. So quite often you might start off your processes within Outlook if that's a place you feel comfortable. And again, we could edit files, we could preview them, we could check them out. But sometimes to get the bigger picture and see perhaps, well, what other files are available, and to be able to go through and work on perhaps a whole load of files in one go, you might decide Outlook's not quite cutting it. I want to get out of Outlook and I want to be over here into the full workbox within ISY itself. And by clicking the Browse button, it allowed me to do that. So that was a nice shortcut from any document within any of the workboxes in Outlook to actually get to the full workbox within Internet Explorer. Using Outlook as a way of keeping up to date with information that's stored within workboxes can save you time. It can also give you access to a more familiar experience. So for those of you that feel most comfortable using Outlook, you don't have to go into the workboxes quite so often. So there's nothing to stop you editing files and viewing files, for example, from within your Outlook system. If you go back to work and you're testing some of these options and you find that specifically the things that we've seen in this question are not available to you, so if you find that you're not able to connect a workbox to Outlook, for example, what you'll need to do is go ahead and put in an ICT help me request, and they'll be able to give you this functionality. Just to confirm, the functionality is available to everyone, but if for some reason you find that you do not have it available, please go ahead and put in an ICT help me request, and then they can rectify it and make sure that you do have it available.